presentation, and I would request Mr. Attaullah to please come forward and share his views with us.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Very good afternoon to everyone. I was sitting in the audience since last 2 or 3 hours, and I was enjoying so much so that I did not want to come to this side of the table. But nevertheless, the slot is being given to me, so I have to speak for 15-20 minutes. The topic that is being given to me is IT audit mistakes organizations make. IT audit, much talked about since many years, but the importance of IT audit from here. Everybody says the future is IT audit. We have to go in IT, we have to do IT things. Gone are the days when you have piles of files and you have to open up the files and you have to read lots of text. But the real importance from here is yet to come. So this is the brief agenda of my presentation: evolution of audit and the latest backdrop of audit, and then the IT audit thing. I'll take 2 to 3 minutes to come to my main topic, that is IT audit, and the mistakes done by the organizations regarding IT audit. And finally, the additional topic that has been given to me is issues of cybersecurity. And finally, the lessons learned. So the evolution of internal audit, although we have been talking about the audit, how old is the audit? 100 years, 200 years, 300 years? No, if you go back and see, the record keeping and the bookkeeping is almost 4,000 years old. Historians say that 4,000 years ago, the people started bookkeeping and record keeping. And then the Roman Empire and the city-states of Italy, the old traditions started that no, there is a need of audit of this record keeping. So then they started the record keeping. And by the way, how this word audit derived? The audit word is derived from auditory nerve. The auditory nerve is within our ears. So now you connect that when they say that audit is the eyes and ears of the organization. So where that is coming from? It is coming from here. The auditory nerves receive the signals and sends it to the brain, and then it stimulates it. So the audit word is right from your auditory nerve, and that is how we, the auditors, are the eyes and ears of the organization. I'll just touch upon the old definition of, not the definition, but the core words or the core terminologies of the old. I'm sure most of the people would be aware of this. Appraisal function. Internal audit is an independent appraisal function to examine and evaluate its activities, to assist members of the organization in the effective discharge of the duties. This was the old definition of I could have an older definition of this, of 1905 by the father of audit, but this is the definition by IAEA. And finally, to promote the internal effective control system at a reasonable cost. And the latest definition, the era in which we are, is this. Current definition of internal audit, which we are studying right now. The definition has drastically changed. Do you see? Assurance function. The objective is assurance and consulting activity. The words makhi pe makhi bitana, thanedari, chaukidari, policing, these words are gone. These words are no more. Now we are into the role of assurance, consulting activity to add value and improve an organization's operation. It is not the case that you just pinpoint something that this is wrong. No, this is wrong, agreed. But how do you add value to it? How will you say, what do you recommend to improve this thing? And by bringing a systemic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. So if you compare these two definitions, this is the outdated and this is the current definition. Appraisal function is being taken over by the assurance and consulting activity. The examining and evaluating activities is being taken over by the adding value and improving organization. Assist member of the organization is being changed by help an organization accomplish its objectives and promote effective control at reasonable cost. This is being taken by the evaluate and improve the effectiveness of your GRC model. Having said this, you can see the risk focus have been changed from rotational to enterprise risk, from no involvement in governance. Internal audit is doing as an advisor and a facilitator. The role from assurance on compliance. No, everything is all right. The report says this, I give this is assurance. This has been changed as enterprise risk advisory. The responsibility was external assessment, and now it is consultative approach. So this is how the audit is being changed and shaped. This is an interesting slide that I had about auditors. This is we. So what my friends think, I am playing with the money, lots of money, auditor. And what my mom thinks, sometimes I'm sitting in Switzerland, London, going for audits, roaming around the world. And what society thinks I do? By the way, in this picture, the guy with the tie is not an auditor. It is the other guy, black, bald like me. That's the auditor. What my partners think I do and what I think I do, the metrics thing. But actually, what is an auditor? You can see in the end. Another perspective. What my mom thinks I do, all the time sitting on a computer or a calculator, reconciling the things. My friends think, again, money, what my other colleagues from other departments, and what I think I do is assurance. These are the two different perspectives. But what is the common thing in these two pictures? Can you see? This picture and the next. What is the similarity? The similarity in these two pictures is I end up with lots and lots of files. But my dear colleagues, no more is the case. This is changed by this. IT audit. I don't need to go to places. I don't need to have piles of files. I can have everything on my desktop, on my computer. I remember when I was inducted at State Bank in 2005, I was with the inspection department. We had to go for inspection. Say there was a bank, I cannot name the bank obviously, but we have a 36-day tour of the bank countrywide. Now the same bank, we're sitting in Karachi, we have everything electronic, we have all the files, and we are auditing in Karachi. So the things are entirely changed. And why this has happened? This has happened because of this, the digital disruption. How many of you sitting in the hall go to a bank to pay a bill? How many of you? Not hardly. Hardly people go to banks. The world's largest taxi company owns no taxi. Uber hasn't got any taxi. We have Careem in Pakistan. Careem has got no taxi. Largest accommodation provider owns no real estate. Largest phone companies own no telco infrastructure. And the most interesting fact is, the last one, the largest software vendors do not write the applications. We give applications to Apple and the Google. So with this, I come to my topic of IS or IT auditing. I'll not go to the bookish definition of IT auditing, but we have a famous acronym of CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So this definition of ISACA talks about three things. And these three things are safeguarding assets. When I say assets, it's not about property, it's about IT assets. Maintaining data integrity and operating effectively to achieve the organization goals or objectives. This is a brief and concise definition of IS auditing. Now, ISACA, Information System Audit and Control Association, says that you can broadly categorize your IS or IT audits into 5 categories. These are systems and applications, information processing facilities. You can categorize some information processing facilities into systems and applications as well. The systems development, although rare is the case, if I talk about the financial industry, not many banks are into this. Mostly off-the-shore systems are being purchased by the banks. Management of IT and enterprise architecture. This is the most important thing. Client-server telecommunication, intranets, extranets, and the two emerging issues are web presence audits. Wherever you are through internet is the audit that is being done by the institutions. Banking is normally one of the most structured organizations or sector in Pakistan. And in Pakistan, the two emerging issues in the banks and the telcos is web presence audits. And after web presence audits, we have enterprise communication audits. That is, Junaid was talking about. Bring your own devices. Everybody has got their phones, their laptops, their devices connected to the entity's network. These are the mistakes being done by the general auditors or the financial auditors. I have underlined the most important. Coming from bottom, forgetting to add value. Still, this is the dilemma that we just give observations or memos for the sake of observations. Massive audit reports. We write long, long sentences, and in those long, long sentences, the crux of the observation is, gets diluted. Not properly using data. We're talking about audit. If you talk about the inspection thing, we go to different banks, we get a huge data. Say, if we talk about the systemic banks, the big 5 banks, I went to a bank recently, and the number of accounts in that bank was 4.8 million, 48 lakh accounts. So there is a huge data. Now, how to interpret that data and how to extract the useful things out of that data is one of the major problems of our auditing. The scope creeps, not doing enough planning, not developing soft skills. These are some of the other problems that our general auditors do. Now, how about the IT audits mistakes? The IT audit mistakes as a regulator and generally being perceived are these. And this, the most important thing is weak IT risk assessment. IT people sit on the table, this is an application, these are the risks, tick, 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 tick. No, this is not anymore the case. Your business is the owner of the applications of the IT assets, not the IT. IT is just a support function. Usage of outdated, obsolete information security models is another problem. That information security is being done by everyone, but the obsolete models are still being used. How many have we heard about ransomware? Most of us. Some of us, ransomware. Now, I got this fact from a last seminar that we were conducting, ITC in Asia, and this was not being reported to State Bank. Every fraud is being reported to State Bank. There was a ransomware attack on a systemic bank in Pakistan, and it was not being reported to the regulator, and the bank quietly paid off $40,000 in the shape of bitcoins to the ransomware attacker. So these are the things. We're doing everything, information security, firewall, ISPs, ISDs, everything is there, but yet we are being exploited. Business continuity management, much talked about, we're doing since last 10, 12, 15 years, but still there is a problem. We do drills, we get an email normally, at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning we are having a fire drill. So everyone is ready and everyone is walking down the stairs, and that's a drill that we're having. Business continuity management. Mobile devices, talked about cloud computing. We are not yet ready about this, but what are the checklists, what are the questions to be answered? We'll see. Program risk, social media risk management. Every organization is on Twitter, LinkedIn. Segregation of duties is still a problem, yet an old one. Data loss prevention and privacy. I have given a checklist of these items one by one. So we need to go back to our organizations and get to see that whether we are actually doing these things or not. Initially, these were the things. These were the basics while auditing. IT internal audit issues. What were the issues? Now, this is no more the case. How do you do it? Root cause from the past IT issues. I was with the Huddersfield University in UK in 2001. So I was writing a paper on IT and Pakistan in 2001. So I took an interview from my dean back in London, and I said, what problems do you see in Pakistan with respect to IT and generally? He said, you people, very bluntly he said, you people have got two problems. One, you people are very sharp. You solve a problem like this, but you only solve the problem. You don't go to the root cause of the problem. Secondly, you people meeting and doing nothing. So these are the two problems being narrated by him. So we need to see and dig out the root cause of the past IT issues. Likewise, these are some of the other issues that should be taken care of while we are doing IT risk assessment. Risk analytics based on most critical questions, sitting with together IT, business, and internal audit. Likewise, includes operational and global stakeholders. This is a long list of questions that should be taken care by an IT auditor for a good IT risk assessment. Outdated information security models, again, these are the questions that should be taken care by an internal auditor. I need to quickly skim out these slides because of the shortage of time. Issues of cybersecurity. Robert Mueller, the FBI director, in 2012, he said, there are only two types of companies, those which have been hacked and those that will be. So no one is secure. This is the definition of NIST for cybersecurity, the process of protecting information by preventing, detecting, and responding to attacks. Cybersecurity awareness is a formal process for educating employees about computer security. These are some of the trends in Pakistan regarding information cybersecurity. 5 websites of banks defaced in 2016. And those were systemic banks. Those are not small banks. Ransomware attack on 2 largest telecoms being paid off probably. 14 government websites defaced, increasing cybersecurity criminal activities using social engineering, which eventually led the formulation of PICA, Prevention of Electronic Crime Act. So this is where it started from. It started from experimentation, 2-3 guys sitting on a computer, they knew about hacking, they started off, the experiment was successful. Now, after getting the experiment successful, the next thing was monetization. Hey, we can add the money. We can have money, lots of money. So from money, it went to the corporate espionage, and after corporate espionage, it went up to APT, active persistent threat, which the countries are using. Talking about this, I have 2-3 examples, then I'll end up. Stuxnet. How many of us know about Stuxnet? Stuxnet was a malware, was a worm being developed by USA. It was first being identified in 2010, and USA formulated or made this program for Afghanistan, for their different installations, their government websites, and it was for Iran. And 30% of the nuclear reactors were diffused because of this. 30% of their reactors got bad, and it is being said that they were back by 5 to 6 years. It was also being, Indonesia was also being affected by this. India, Azerbaijan, and Pakistan was also one of the victims of this malware. If you Google this, you'll find a lot of material about the Stuxnet. Oman News Agency was hacked in 2014. And it was published on the website that the King of Oman has expired. So this was the news that was erupted out. Estonia cyber riot, that was in 2007. The attack was being done by the Soviet Union. And the attack was all on the financial institutions, on all the government websites. That continued for 14 days, and there was a huge riot. Tesco bank customers lose real money. 40,000 Tesco bank accounts were compromised. Likewise, there was a threat to LinkedIn, Timberlake, and MySpace. These are some of the statistics. Finance and insurance are the 2 industries that are being attacked. In 2013, 23.8, they're still the top. Number 2 is manufacturing in 2013, and 2014. Information and communication sector is on number 2. These are the statistics in terms of the attacks, types of attacks. In 2013, due to malicious code, the attacks were 38%, and it has declined to 20%. And in 2014, the type of attack which was mostly done is unauthorized access. Lastly, I'll spend 2 minutes on this, and then I'll finish. This was a cyber security wellness profile being developed by a company, ABI Research, and it represents 13 countries. This is an eye-opener for us. This tells us that where do we stand in terms of cybersecurity. They have taken these 5 factors: legal, technical, organizational, and capacity building, and cooperation. And in this, you see there are different countries. The green ones are the safe countries in terms of cyber security wellness, and the red ones are the poor countries in terms of cyber security wellness. So where is our Pyara Pakistan? It is there in the red zone. And how about the index? This is the index. USA tops the list. Out of 100, it is 82.4. And if we go down, where is, again, Pyara Pakistan? Not in the list, but if we further slide down our list, we are at number 23, and our score as compared to USA, if we compare it, 82.4 out of 100, and Pakistan is 17.6. And what other countries we have in the same listing? These are Senegal, Slovenia, Syria, Malawi. So we are with these countries. This is an eye-opener for us. And the 5 factors, if you see the Asia-Pacific region, Afghanistan is ahead of us. Afghanistan is ahead of us, and these are the 5 factors. See India and see Pakistan. So these are the 5 factors. We are nowhere, but the only good thing that we have is Prevention of Electronic Crime Act. I hope the things will get better. This is the security paradigm that we have to do. From limited to 4 walls, we have to spend to interconnected global business ecosystems, IT-led to business-aligned and own, CEO and board accountable. This is the paradigm. This has been talked about. In the last, I'll say, there cannot be a patch for human stupidity. You can have a password, static hash, capital C, 7, 8, 9, and if you post it with your monitor, you cannot have a patch for it. If internal audit continues to behave the same way, this is the security that we have. Few last words. It is not the strongest, but the one who is most responsive to the change will survive. Finally, to improve is to change, to be perfect is to change often. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Attaullah, for sharing your thoughts and insights and experience.